Thank you all so much for joining our webinar. I'm your host today, Doug Mark. Many of you know me because hopefully I was on your kickoff call. We've met at a conference somewhere along the way, or you follow us on the socials and see my podcast interviews and things like that. I actually have recently done a podcast with the Luma1 team, and that's going to get released next month as well. But some really exciting stuff. Well, our first panelist, who you can see right now, this is Tara Ellis, and she is the VP of Customer Experience with Luma1. And we also have remotely right now is John Hudson. And John has, like we all do in our lives, 5,000 things going on. And so he's not going to be able to share his video right now as he's got work duties and dad duties and a million other things going on. But John will be here in spirit. He's listening. And he's going to circle back for the Q&A if you have any questions. John is the CEO of Luma1 and has a lot of experience in this easy video creation space. He's been doing it for most of his career. And so being your host means that I have a relatively easy job. Those of you that know me know that I love surrounding myself with really smart people. Learning Zen has been looking for a partner that could help make content creation easier, and especially video training content. This is something we've been honestly preaching about to anybody who would listen for the last 15 years, that, video training is the future. It's so awesome to be able to see what a job looks done correctly and be able to kind of make some visual cues to these things, in addition to, our auditory learning and learning from reading and kinesthetic and things like that. And we really wanted to try to find the right partner for when it came to video creation. And so I looked at dozens of different easy video creation platforms. And I can say for me and all of the experience that I've had as both an instructional designer or, running a learning management company or implementing learning management systems in a career before this was the best and easiest tool that I've come across from Luma1. And you're going to learn why when Tara kind of shows you some of the things that we're going to cover today. Obviously, we're going to cover the topics that we emailed out, and I think that's what motivated a lot of you to come today, which is, uploading video, editing video, adding text, adding pause points, hotspots, language conversion, transcripts, and also, of course, how do we also leverage the power of AI without letting AI completely take over everything that we're doing? And this is something that Luma1 does incredibly well. It was another reason why we felt like this partnership was going to be such a great fit. And so the plan today is for Tara to go into Luma1, show you the system, show you, how fast and easy it is to bring in a video and add the transcript and see what happens with subtitles and language conversion and text and all the really cool things we can do to make what's today maybe a raw training video and turn it into really great, training video, really kind of turn that into like a superpower, supercharge that video, because as learners watch a video, there are key connection points we can make along the way, which is if we're teaching somebody a procedural step, and there's 3 steps to that process, let's outline what those steps are. So let's reinforce those things. Number 1, and let's list it. We can use auditory tones as well, so we can bring in a sound effect and make a ding happen if it's something we want to remind you about, or a thought bubble pop up as well. And so we're going to highlight on some of those things. Please feel free to ask questions, but we are going to kind of save the questions until the end. And that's when John will come back on the call as well. But thank you all so much for coming. I honestly think you're going to see something today that I hope blows some people's minds. It gets them really excited about training and says, hey, this is going to save us time. It's going to save us money. It's going to simplify our lives. And I can do this. Every one of you on this call, you can do this all yourself. I promise you that. It is a really simplified system. So with no further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Tara Ellis, and Tara's going to take control and start sharing and go from there. Thanks, Tara.
No problem. Thank you, Doug. It's wonderful to be here today, and I'm excited to share Luma1. I'm going to share my screen here. I'm going to move into. My theme for today is going to be a coffee video. I love my caffeine. As you can see, I have it surrounding me. So I have an example of content that I'm going to show. And as Doug mentioned, we'll jump in and show how to create that content. So popping through, I just have this video where I have a few elements that appear. So basic text on screen, text moving across the screen. Here we have a few activities. If I jump ahead a little bit, a polling question. So as I answer the question, I see the results in relation to my peers. So 82% agree with me. Lots of different question types can be added to Luma1. I have a hotspot activity, so it's asking me to locate the tamper. So any of my barista people out there would probably click here pretty quick, so you can have that customized feedback, and you have different actions that can occur when I click and find that correct area of the screen. So it's currently, this is set up as an activity on the video. You can also pull in images and have activities over the image as well. So moving along, I also have an example of a drag and drop question type here. So the way that this has been set up, I'm dragging the title to the piece of equipment. And let me just see here. I will not make a great barista. So having that feedback as well appear as I progress through the drag and drop activity. So this can be created many different ways. This is just one of the settings that I've done for this example. You can also drag images to images as well. So lots of different options with drag and drop. Next here, just having basic text on screen as the video progresses. And then having the text stop, and you have to click to continue. I love to do that every so often because it then, you can't just set and forget the video. You know that your viewers, your employees, they have to click and interact with the video to progress. So we have lots of also different controls with the video. You can hide this bottom navigation bar and force someone through a learning path where they're not able to jump around. Everything can be made mandatory, all of the activities that you add to your video as well. So I have the video pausing here, another just little hotspot activity. Click on the power button to turn on the machine, so I can click anywhere else on the screen and nothing is happening. But if I find that power button and click, I get that positive feedback and the video auto progresses. This just wanting to show that you can add a form, so you can collect data from your viewers as well. So a form can be customized to your look and feel. You can really configure any of these radio buttons or drop down fields or text entry fields to collect that data. Here is one of my, another feature I like. You can show someone how to perform a task and then ask them to record themselves performing that task, and that can come to you. So if I click here, I'm going to have a lot of cameras on me, but it can come back to you. And so I can record and submit. You can score it, or you can use this as a mechanism to share out a question and ask people perhaps to record themselves performing a task. And maybe that becomes part of your learning content that you then edit and redistribute. So lots of options. So here, just clicking to purchase machine. If you have a video and you don't have a lot of real estate for your content, you can have that pop-up activity. So this can be slides or, imagery popping up. We also can do video within video. So lots of options here. If I click purchase now, of course, it links out to a website where you can pop that espresso machine into your shopping cart. I already have one because I am in love with caffeine. So just showing here at the end, another element, you may show someone how to perform a task, or perhaps you have certain training that you've completed and you want to give them a document, a manual, job aid, something as a takeaway, even a checklist. You can click and they're going to get that document in its native format, whether it's Word, PDF, or Excel, or if you're a Mac user, your Keynote. So the document is there to print, save, and download. And keeping in with my theme of coffee here, it's a document. Mine is a manual for the espresso machine. So that's just a quick look at the end user side with a few examples of content. I can now jump into the fun side, which is where we create content. So on my home screen here, I have full access to the system. You can see all of my recent projects. I do have a coffee theme going on with my content. So I can click here, jump into any of my recent projects and start editing. But let's start from scratch. I'm going to create a new learning journey for my viewers. So here I'm going to go back to my home screen. Let's click on the action button and start a new project here. So I'm going to create a learning journey or playlist where I'm going to have one or more videos that I'm going to put together and share that with my audience. So clicking on create playlist, I'm going to give this a name, keeping with my theme today. I'll call it my coffee training playlist. So here on this side, I can choose to add new content. So uploading content, if I click on the option, I can upload a video. Perhaps I can reuse YouTube. So just add that YouTube URL and you can add interactions and questions and those sorts of things over top. I can record a video. So I love this option. You can record directly in Luma1. If I click on it, again, many cameras going on here, but I can record my intro and then pop that in as a start to maybe a learning journey. We have screen recording built into the system as well. Maybe you're showing someone how to use or use a certain piece of software. So you can screen record directly in Luma1. Of course, we've got reuse video. So the foundation of Luma1 really is that learning side, and we have content management. So everything you pull in is stored, tagged. You can organize it into projects or folders, and you can reuse even a button, a piece of text, or a full video. Here you can create an assessment. So if you want to have a standalone quiz or assessment, you can choose to do that. We've got all the question types supported. If you have content from other systems that you've created, such as Articulate, Adobe, Lectora, or any SCORM content, you can bring that in and mix and match that in a playlist or a journey. So here, typically I start off with recording a video just to save time today. I pre-recorded it in Luma1 and I just downloaded it to my system. So I'm going to pop that in, clicking to open the video. So it's now loaded into my site. I'm not going to give it a unique name, just going to skip that. But what I might wish to do is get rid of that first and end of the video. We always start setting up a video. I seem to have a duck face there, but I may wish to, perhaps have the video start a few seconds later. You can get rid of that first section if you wish, just by, editing the timing of the video. So the start time, maybe I want it to start at 8 frames in. You can also cut the end off as well, or even a section in the middle of the video. So if I'm happy with that, I have my intro video. I've decided I'm not adding interactions to that piece. I'm going to return to my playlist. So I've got my very first video here that I've added. Let's continue to build that journey. I can reuse existing content I have in the system, or let's add a new video. I'm going to upload another one from my system, and I'm going to choose the espresso training. I'm actually going to rebuild using that previous video that we showed. So this is the Luma1 Creator Studio. So this is where I have all of the different elements I can add to my video. And I may wish to add content here. So you can see I can add text, images, video within video, sound elements, slides, add your own list. So similar to, having bullets, you can sequence those to align with, a presenter. And here's where you can add a native document. So I'm just going to start by adding a piece of text. We also have the ability to add variables. So you have that little personal touch, adding their first name and save. So I can drag this piece of text down to my desired location on the screen. I can also double click, go back and edit at any time. You can adjust styling, or you can have preset themes or designs. I have no design skills, so I rely on the team, someone in my team, to make some nice branding for me, and I simply click a button and apply that to my content at the start or at the end. So we do have that theme capability. You can also click on the time and say, all right, well, this piece of text, it comes on screen at the 0 frame. Maybe it goes off screen here at 5 seconds in. We have your basic transitions as well. I can have it spinning onto the screen or zooming. So let's click zoom and save. So I've just created my first text element. I'm happy with that. I'm working in a browser. So I'm going to click save periodically, and the system catches you and reminds you. So I'm going to move ahead and let's look at adding something else to my video. As I mentioned, you can reuse content. So let's click reuse here, and I can search my library. So I can say Luma1 logo. I'm going to search all the images, click and insert into my video, drag into place. Oops, zoom got in my way. Wherever I'd like it to be located on the screen, resize as desired. And again, double click, you set when it comes on screen and when it goes off. So I'm going to say my logo is the entirety of the video. I'm not going to have it pause. The video shouldn't pause when my logo appears. And something that's really cool with all the elements that we create is the action capability. So I can say if someone clicks on this logo, maybe I want a certain action to occur. In this case, you might want it to launch a website. So lots of action options here. This is nice if you want to create that branching effect. You want to have different elements popping up when someone clicks on a piece or an image in your video. So I'm going to say launch URL. It makes sense. I would launch my URL, my website when this occurs, and I'm just going to say save. You'll notice when you're authoring in Luma1, it's very consistent. All of your elements kind of have that same, you have the action tab, the time tab, and you can style things. So moving along, I am going to add one of my favorite elements, which is the hotspot. So I like to, we had that example where you find the power button and then the video proceeds. So I'm going to recreate that example. I'd probably add a little bit of instruction text. So I'm going to say, click on the power button. And when this text appears, I want the video to pause. Oh, it catches you. You have to tag things uniquely. It auto tags, but also will catch you and just remind you if you're not giving unique tags to something on the screen. So I just have a piece of instructional text. I'm going to now create a hotspot activity. So this, I'm going to say, define areas. And I'm going to say, if my viewer clicks on this little button, I'm going to double click into here. Here's where I want an action to occur. So you see that consistency. I have this action drop-down list. I think in this example, I want to show text. And I'm going to say, great work. This is the power button. And I can have a visitability. So I can say that this piece of text appears for 3 seconds. The text spins onto the screen. And it's when my viewer clicks on it, you can have the option of rolling over. And then I want the video to continue playing. So these are all options here that you can add. And then you can add as many hotspots as you wish. So I can make this whole other area a hotspot, double click, and set an action to say, oh, show text. And it might be, oops, try again. This is not power button. My poor grammar here, but we'll just leave that. And if I'm happy with this hotspot, click save and close. So we've just created quite a bit into this video. If I'm happy with this, what I'm going to do is just remember to click save. Let's take a look at that preview, and we'll take a peek at what we've added here. So I have my text zooming onto screen.
The perfect espresso is an art.
I'm going to mute. If I click on the Luma1 logo, it's going to open the Luma1 website. And I'm just going to get Zoom is in my way here. Proceeding through, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. Here's my hotspot activity. Click on the power button. So if I click anywhere else, I got text up here. Oops, try again. I click on this. I've got my spinning text. Great work. And then the video auto progresses after so many, I think I set it as 3 seconds. So what I like to do, once I've added all of my elements, I may wish to also maybe add a checklist or a knowledge check at the end. So the system, when I upload a video, it actually also transcribes that video. You'll see here I have captions. So I'm just going to click anywhere and play the video, and you'll see these captions are appearing.
Start with brush.
What I can do, I can choose, we have an inbuilt caption editor here. So I can, be very specific in how I edit my captions with this option, or just a basic editing option here of your transcript or captions. I can edit as I feel, see fit. Maybe I want to have step 1, step 2. I can have a little bit of extra text added onto the captions here. So I review my captions, make sure I'm happy. They are AI generated captions, so they will learn your specific terminology. So if you make corrections to, maybe it's a piece of equipment that you work with and you've corrected it in the captions, the system learns, and the next time it will remember that you've made edits to those and use certain terminology. So when I'm happy with my captions and I've edited them, I'm just going to click save. I'm going to go to the end of the video, add my knowledge check. So here we have lots of question options. As you can see, we've got your single multi-choice, true, false, yes, no, an open answer question. And that option allows you to answer either voice-based, text-based, or video-based. Fill in the blanks, and of course the drag and drop as we showed earlier. But what I love, which saves time, is the ability for the system to generate a question for me. So anything to save time. What I can do is choose what type of question do I want the system to create. So I've got these options here. I'm going to say single choice. I'm going to base the questions on this current video and click generate. So what it's doing is it's looking at the transcript and it's suggesting a question for me. So I can look at the question, make sure I'm happy. I can edit this question if I wish. I also have the assessment tab. Maybe I want to put a time limit on the question. I can make the question adaptive. So if they answer the question incorrectly, maybe review a certain section of video, for example. I can set the number of attempts and the value. So just setting those options here, I'm going to click close. It's asking me, do you want to create more questions using this AI question generator? I'm happy with just one. Going to drag it into place. I can resize if desired. Again, you can double click and change the styling. But if I'm happy with my video, I've created it in my first language. I'm going to click save. Let's take a look at how we could translate that. So I'm going to return to my playlist. You see here, I've got 2 videos that are added into my playlist, but I may wish to also create a separate version of this video in a new language. So I'm going to click on my global voice option, translate, and I'm going to say, let's translate this video from English. We have over 40 languages and we continue to add. I'm going to choose Spanish today. Click translate. Would you like to edit your translated content? I'm going to say yes. So it's actually creating a separate video. It's translated all of the elements I created. I can double click into it, edit, that's fine. It is a separate element. So you can edit as you see fit. You'll notice that, so my text here is translated, my questions are translated. You'll also notice that the captions are translated. So here I can then, if I wish, go in and I may wish to review those captions. That's an option. And if we look at this video, so I can play it and make sure I'm happy with it.
Pulling the perfect espresso.
You'll notice that the voice is still English. So I've got everything translated to Spanish except for that voice. So I can take it one step further. I can use the global voice feature to synthesize. So I can say, let's get rid of my original narration. And I'm going to choose a female. Depending on the language, we have different regions. So I can choose to use an American voice option, Isabella. So I'm going to synthesize. So that's going to take a minute. And when I preview, you'll hear it's completely translated. It actually sends me a notification as soon as it's ready. So I received that. I'm just going to click save. Let's preview. We have a workflow built into the system that it automatically, if you have multiple authors working on
Eso
content.
perfecto es un arte. Así es como empezar con granos de
So my video is now translated to Spanish. The voice is changed to Spanish. All of those options are available. I also use the captions tool. Perhaps you want to go, on site, shoot some video. It's a little bit loud. I can narrate through all of the steps. We have the ability in Luma1 to add your own narration in after the fact and then transcribe that and add an AI voice. So it's just a nice option if you're want to take a rough video, but then add your perfect narration after the fact. So if I'm happy with this video and even my playlist, if I go back to my playlist here, just going to leave that back into my playlist. I've got my I love coffee video. I can add more content and then I can decide to share. So we have lots of share options here. If you have, and I can probably it's a good time to hand it over to Doug to show how you can just grab this embed code and launch that through LearningZen.
Tara, that's been awesome. We do have a question from the group, and it may make sense to answer it right now because it's relevant to what you we're showing first with the power button. And so Liam had asked, could you add a helper if the student could not find the power button?
Yes, so you do have that flexibility of we have the ability to have hints. So as a tooltip, a hint could appear. That is an option. You could also have like a little pop-up. So click for help. You could do that as an option as well. So lots of different ways you can add support. I think I love the tooltip option with the little hint that's built into the system, easy to add as well. So
yeah, me too. And it could, what I like about that too is, yeah, you could also time it, right? So, you give them a little bit of time to look for that button. And if it doesn't pop up, like a hint. And so I love that you can time that in. I chimed into the group, but I get really excited, of course, about the option to create the transcript, to edit the transcript, to translate the transcript. So I think that's something that many of us do, and many of us have employees that speak multiple languages, but there wasn't a great way to do that. It took time and it took effort, or you had to hire somebody to do it, or a translation service. And so obviously what you were showing there with the translation and being able to do the voiceover, I get crazy excited about that kind of stuff, because the other part is I think it fits the LearningZen mantra, which is, how do we keep it simple? And video has been, the number one tool for us for so long. There's a wonderful statistic out there. Many of you have probably heard me say it. And that statistic is that video is retained 60,000 times faster than reading. And so me being a little goofy nerd figured, okay, what else could I do, 60,000 times faster? And so like, if it takes me 30 minutes to mow my lawn, what if I did that 60,000 times faster? How much time do I get back on my day? And I don't even remember the stat because I recorded it several years ago, but I think it's like 3/8 of a second, is what 60,000 times faster than 30 minutes is. And so I obviously, love video, want to promote it. Many of our users spend a lot of their time scrolling through TikTok videos or scrolling through Instagram reels. And, they don't want to sit down and take a 30-minute training, a 60-minute training, a 90-minute training, because everything that's fed to them is, 90 seconds or less in a lot of cases. And there's going to be times where we have to have longer videos, but it always goes back to that, making sure that we're designing training for our audience, not for ourselves. So I'll get off my soapbox about video. I'm gushing again about how simple this is to use Luma1, but it changed my world. And what I'll do now is, so Tara did the example where she was inside of Luma1 creating a video, and I have access to Luma1 and have a couple of test videos as well. So I'm going to share my whole screen so I can bounce back and forth between a couple of systems, but I'm going to go ahead and just say, hey, share the whole screen. Right now, you're looking at my version of Luma1. I have way less information than Tara. I do have some coffee things. But in my example, these are my most recent videos that show up. And so this is what I love, is this beautiful homepage, right? Where I land and I've got the views for the user activity, and the recent views, my most recent videos. But if I want to put something into a Learning Zen course, it's really easy. So I can click on the manage area and say, hey, manage my content. And you can see I've actually done a few different examples of my explainer video. So first thing I did was bring in my explainer video. And then when I brought it in, of course, it created subtitles for me. And then I was like, all right, let's see it in Spanish, or let's see it in Mandarin. And I have a 13-year-old that speaks Mandarin, so that's fun. But I love the fact that I could see that other text. Well, then I did the synthesized voice. And so my Spanish speaking community can actually get a video where the audio is also in their native language. And I love that. And the key for me was, well, is it going to be easy for Learning Zen users to pop back and forth between these two systems? Is this going to be a really, cool tool that is simple to navigate back and forth? So when I'm inside of Luma1 and I just want to, have a video like this is just the Learning Zen explainer video, and I want to put it into a course, maybe I just recorded my screen on how to use our new POS, or we've got a limited time offer and I want everybody out in the field to know what that is. It's going to be this easy. Whereas I come in, I've got my video edited, I just click the share button. And these are all of the options right now. So we have things like we can send it via email and score them, and I can send it to YouTube and that kind of stuff. But the simplest thing for Learning Zen is to use this embed code. So it's kind of the third one here from the end. And when I go ahead and click on that, it says the embed code's been copied to my clipboard. I've done nothing. It's in my clipboard. If I right click and paste, that's got the embed code. So I'm going to click OK, knowing that it's copied. And then I'm going to bump into my example portal. Just happens to be a coffee shop. I swear when we met, neither one of us knew that we were both, coffee shop examples. But at the same time, we're showing this is kind of a reminder for longtime Learning Zen customers, because years ago, you didn't have the ability to make this beautiful login page and customize your student's view when you go in. And so you obviously have that ability now. I'm logging in as somebody who's really a super user, right? So I'm an author and an admin and a student just like everybody else. So I do see my own dashboard where I've got my courses or lessons to start. And I did change, some of the titles of the widgets, which you can do. And I added a little coffee bean background. But the really simple thing for me is knowing that I've got multiple roles. I'm going to use my switcher on the right. And I'm going to say, hey, let's go to my author view. And slightly different view recently. You've been seeing we've been updating a lot of pages here at Learning Zen. So I've got my courses button. And this has been my demo course for like 10 years. I add different chapters and make changes to it, but it's always kind of the same sort of example. And so if I take this offline and I go to my chapters, right now I've got 8 chapters. If I click the add button, it's going to add a chapter between 1 and 2. If I want it to be on the last chapter, I click the add button. And now I've got a blank window to work with. This is our canvas, and we can add video or games or text or links or anything we want to do to make our content engaging. But since we're bringing in something that already exists from Luma1, I'm just going to click the embed code button. And this is to insert the embed code. Remember, it's already copied, so it's in my clipboard. So I right click and I paste this, insert embed code. I now have a new Luma1 video. Luma1 video added. Save my changes, and my video is ready to go. It's that simple to bring that content in. And so if you want to have, a Spanish version of a course, you can create your videos in Spanish and, send out a completely different version of that course to your Spanish speaking community, or make it available so they can register. If you want the English version or the French version and so forth. And once it's done, it's ready to go. Now, I can preview the course from inside of Learning Zen. I could also just publish the course and take it, but I will click the preview button. It's always fun to do these things live where I never know exactly how it's going to go. It's going to make me answer my quiz question. So I'm going to just kind of hammer through a couple of things. And I'm going to keep going because I actually added this to, there we go. For me, it was on chapter 9. Now I can play the video. It's already got my closed captions. I'm not sharing the sound right now, but it's available. And I can, of course, pop it out full screen as well. And the nice thing about this is when I had originally brought this video in, it didn't have captions. So I had created this explainer video, but I didn't add captions. All I had to do was upload it to Luma1 and it created the captions for me. And now I can also make available a Spanish version of this. So as we're thinking about, we're content creators, well, a lot of the content creators live in training, but there also are groups inside of marketing as well that can leverage a tool like this and say, hey, if you've got an explainer video and your audience is moving to Latin America and you want to have another version of another language, take your marketing video and convert it so that it's got the transcript in Spanish as well as the voiceover in Spanish. Well, content creators and Learning Zen clients and Luma1 enthusiasts, thank you so much for joining us. To our presenters today, Tara and John, you have both been amazing partners. I'm really excited because I think this really helps the Learning Zen community create content faster that's more relevant for them and more interactive and more engaging. So I really think this is what helps bridge the gap to, sort of bring Learning Zen up to that next level. And so thank you so much for coming on board. You guys were awesome.
Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And it's great to have an opportunity to speak with everyone. Doug, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, John. Tara, you were amazing. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks. It was my pleasure to join.
All right. Take care. Liam, I will hit you up with an email. Thank you, everybody. Take care.